Hey everyone. A gentleman from Alabama who frequents the channel had asked me if I had ever come across a WEN Zipp saw. He even sent me a photo of one. I'd never seen one. This was several months ago, and I was like, well, I'll keep my eyes open for one. It's a pretty interesting tool, and I actually have come across one, so I picked it up. So this is it. Is it like a skill saw, sort of? Is it a weird sawzall type of thing? I don't know. But you can see Zipp model 920, Zipp spelled with 2 P's, made in Chicago. I like this wood handle. This is kind of nice. The cord's, you know, it's got cuts and things like that in it. The strain relief is coming out. Look, it's got oil right there. It says oil for the rear bearing. That's nice. I don't know how old this thing is. 1950s maybe? But, yeah. So that's our task for today. We're going to rebuild this thing. Rebuild it. I guess that's a extravagant term for we're going to put a new power cord on it, grease it if you can, and oil it up, and then see if it works and see what it does. I'm sure I have some type of blade that can be used on this thing. So, hey, let's have some fun and let's get busy. All right. Well, first things first. Let's look at how the wiring is done. It looks like the screws come out, 1, 2, 3, and then this part of the handle comes off. Interesting, the trigger is actually plastic. So we've got plastic, aluminum, wood. I'm gonna have to be careful of that trigger. I've never seen one like this, and old plastic can get real brittle, so I don't want to take a chance of damaging that. Oh boy, don't tell me we're gonna have a stripped screw. Let me get another screwdriver. Well, it is stuck. Ugh, got it. Got it without fully stripping it. If I can find a replacement screw for this, I'll definitely use it. It doesn't look like the same screw as the other ones. Well, it's quite possible this has been opened up before. All right, so we're going to be careful here on how we open this up. Lift this off so we can see how everything goes. All right, let's take a look. See what we've got. The entire trigger is plastic. Really interesting. The cord does not look bad, actually. I would say it's in pretty good shape. I don't know what, well, it actually feels pretty loose in there, but I don't know what it's doing in there. But the wire itself looks like it has been replaced. So what do we got? Yeah, the cord has been replaced. Okay, so here's, well, I don't know. I mean, look at this strain relief. So I've got to make a decision here if I really want to replace this cord or not, because it is the original cord. It says WEN right on it. It has the grounding pin, and the wire is not breaking anywhere. So let's let's look. We can reseat. In fact, I've already kind of pushed it back in, the strain relief. So I'm going to look. There was a couple of splits on this cord. I want to see if any of them are deep or problematic. This cord has spots on it where it feels weak, but I don't. There's one of the splits right there. Yeah, okay. So unfortunately, I do have to replace the cord, which is going to mean I don't know if I can. I don't know how lucky I'm going to be with this saving the strain relief. I'd like to save it. I just don't know how. I don't know how you can possibly get wire back through that. But we'll see what I can do. The switch, interestingly, is just, it's not screwed in place at all. It's just held in place by the cover. So overall, the wiring's not bad. It's not great. So we're going to replace the cord. You know, if I have to change the strain relief out, that's fine. I think I have something that'll work. It won't look exactly like this. It'll be round, but we'll see. I'm gonna cut the cord here, get this out of the way. Much as I hate to discard the original cord, not much I can do. If it's bad, it's bad. All right, so that leaves, I guess I shouldn't have popped the strain relief back in because it looks like it's going to be a little tricky to get it out. We've got the green grounding. Let's take that out. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. That's not a full ring. It's a U. Okay. The black is soldered on. Okay. Let me get my power cord. Overkill here with this vise. But what I need is something to hold the switch so I can pull the wire off that terminal. That should do. So I didn't tighten it very much at all. All right. So here it is. That is an effective strain relief. At least it's not going to pull out. But that being said, these wires are all molded in. So we're gonna need a new strain relief. We're not gonna find that exact one. Here's a power cord. Should be able to just use this type of strain relief in here. Yep, that should work. cord we took off was not a very heavy gauge. I don't think this thing uses much power, so I'm not particularly concerned. I think any computer power cord should do it just fine. So one thing I will do is I'm going to put some shrink tubing on this cable because the strain relief is a bit wider than the cable. So we're going to fatten it up a little bit. So I'm going to strip it back. Let's go through and see what we need. I'm going to strip it back to about here. And how I'm going to do that, I'm going to very carefully, without applying a lot of pressure, cut through the outer insulation. Just let the tool go around it until you see that you can see the inner wires. You don't want to go any further than that because then you'll be cutting into that insulation. Very close, very close. I can see the inner wires. Let's see. Alright, let's get a terminal in for that. Red, because it's small. So on your crimpers, you've got red, blue, yellow. Red crimp means use the red setting. Check it. We're tight. Okay. All right. Back up a bit. Get our shrink tubing set. Make sure we're doing this right. We should be good there. All right, so I'm going to do the shrink tubing in 2 steps. I'm going to put this tight piece on first. Just grab my heat gun, newly rewired. Let this cool off a bit. Okay. So that was just so that the strain relief would hold a little tighter. Let's go back up. Okay, grounded. We've got our neutral. Hi, Mr. T. Alright, they had a nut on this thing. Let's see if I can get something a little bit better. This is shrink tubing with solder in the middle. Question is, do I have enough room to do that with this? I don't have much room. I'm going to trim it. All right. Let's wrap these two guys together. I'm going to fold it over and then slide this on so that the solder is right over the exposed wire. Now, I know you don't have to do this. Before I hit it with the heat shrink, I actually crimp it right where I want the solder to go. Okay. We're good. So what we've got now, we've got to solder the black to the switch. I'm going to put a little bit of solder paste on this. Let's get my vise again. Although I don't need as much, I can probably just hold it with a clamp. Got it. Okay. Now I'm going to add a little bit of extra solder because I kind of torched a lot of that. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to add some liquid electrical tape because that is a gnarly looking solder joint. So while this settles, I'm going to get a tie wrap and put it on the inside of that. So the reason for the tie wrap here is so if somebody really does pull on this cord, since I don't have a molded strain relief, this will stop the cord from being pulled through. This tie wrap will bite into the insulation enough. So now, if someone pulls on this cord, that's about as far as it can go. Okay? All right. Let's make sure our switch is in a good place. The wires are out of the way. This not quite stripped screw, but less than ideal screw. This guy. All right. So we can actually test this now. Got a good strain relief in there. Let's see. Let's get my soldering gun and my heat gun out of the way. I'm getting all tangled up in cords. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to put it in this switch, which is marked as off. Okay. I'm going to put some rubberized gloves anyway, just in case. All right, that's on. Everything should be wired good. Let's see what it does. Does it work? And, ooh, yeah, it works. Wow. Okay, so it's got a mechanism much like a jigsaw or sawzall. Okay, we're off, we're good, we're wired. All right. Let's see what's in here. I'm curious. I know I can oil the back bearing. I don't know what these actually had for oil or grease. It looks like I'm missing a screw here. Oh, that's it. Okay, so there you go. All right, let's look inside this guy. All right, so I would say this grease is old. It looks almost like rubber. So yeah, we can easily re-grease this box. Let me get my tube of grease and I'll be right back. I've got the perpetually grooming cat Edna here. All right, I still have not reloaded my grease gun. So again, we're gonna take it right out of the tube. It's actually warming up out, which is nice. Beautiful day today. All right, so paper towel. All right, so I'm gonna mostly just take this old grease out. As much of it as I can get without taking all the gears out. I've never seen one of these. There's not much of a reservoir for grease at all in this. This is pretty much it. There seems to be grease on this side of it too, so I'll put some in there. Yeah. All right, this piece comes out easy enough, right? Yeah, okay. I don't want to mess up anything. Let's get that grease out. Yeah, this grease has mostly turned to clay. It doesn't even look like it sticks to anything. Alright, I'm going to pack it with this all-purpose grease. Put some new grease in here. I'm going to push it down on all the gears. I'll put some here. A little bit there. This shaft does have a lot of movement, so I definitely want it to have a lot of grease on it. Be a little easier if I was using the grease gun. What do you think? You think we're greased enough? I'd say so. I always keep a plastic bag for this stuff because it has a way of getting on everything. Okay, let's put our cover back on. All right, we got 4 screws here. I'm going to take the opportunity to wire brush those guys. So I will be right back. So the reason why I'm wire brushing them is you've got that before and that after. Hopefully it's focusing on that. And you can see this will take me a little bit longer to polish up when I get to that stage. So putting these in, I'm just bringing them down to snug first. Okay, then a little tighter. And then tight. And I'm not over tightening these guys. Okay. We're done with the grease. Let me get an oil gun or an oil can. Put some oil in there. So for oil, I'm using straight 30 or straight 20. Use heavy oil for this type of thing. All right, let me wipe down some grease that coked out of the sides here. And let's plug it in again and run it a little bit. It's interesting because this thing is almost scary when it kicks on. No, that's not a good sign. I don't like when the motors sound like that. Put some more oil on that. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Let me get the dry lube. I want to clean the inside of this motor. So this is not WD-40. I know I say this every time. This is dry lube. This is good for lubricating the insides of old motors. I'm just going to put this down and let it run in. My mistake. I should definitely have shut that off when I'm doing this. Okay. I'll give that a few minutes to run out and dry up. And I'm going to put some more oil back in that bearing, because I probably just washed most of it out. All right, let's take this wooden handle off. It is a 7/16. Yours may be different, I don't know. So we got a very, very long bolt with a nut on the end and a wood handle. It's pretty cool, actually. So I'm going to use the wire brush and clean all these pieces up. Alright, so that's a cool surprise. The washer is actually brass, so I'm going to leave that brass. This, I'm going to paint black. Alright, So I'm going to paint this with Rust-Oleum Hammered Black. It does not require primer, and when I put this on, I'm bound to scratch it up a little bit. It's very easy to touch it up with this stuff. Okay, well, my vise is still here, and I got a job for it. I'll use it to hold this bolt while it dries. Very lightly. Okay. So I'm using the vise to hold that while it dries. And what I'm going to use for this is I'm going to get some of that Helmsman that you've probably seen me use. And I'm not going to sand this. I'm just going to put clear on top of it. There doesn't seem to be many big gouges. There's some paint on it, which I'll make a little attempt to get off, but mostly I'm just going to put Helmsman on it. I'll be back. Okay, so what I'm going to be using is Helmsman Clear Gloss, and I buy these brushes at like Marshall's and Ross really cheap. You get a whole box of them for usually like $5, probably 10 or 12 brushes in there. And for little projects like this, they're great. And so to hold it, I'm just going to use a cheap screwdriver. The gloss will not make this slippery. It's just a look. But what it will do is it will seal this up. We good? Yep, looks like we're good. All right, where's my clamp that I had? All right, so we'll hold the screwdriver with that clamp. Get this out of the way. Yeah, it's unfortunate this can's kind of had it. If I had a glass jar, I'd pour it in there. All right, the oil has had a chance to get in that bearing. The dry lube has had a chance to dry, so it won't be flammable at all. Let's give it another jolt, let it run a little bit. Oh yeah, much better. It doesn't have that squeal anymore. All right, off. That was worrying me that this thing was gonna have that weird squeal that old electric motors get when they're burned out, but it was probably just filthy inside, and it is for sure dirty. All right, so this piece here, I'm thinking we're going to take it off and I'm going to paint it black. I think it'll look good black. The rest of this body, I want to clean it up and polish it. All right, so what we are going to do to polish this guy is our first step is we're going to use WD-40 and a Scotch-Brite pad. So let me get that Scotch-Brite pad and we'll get to work. Well, I said I was going to use a Scotch-Brite pad. What I'm going to use is WD-40 and fine steel wool, and then move on to polish. So it looks pretty rough, this thing, but we're going to see. We're going to start on this part here. It's pretty easy. Put some WD-40 on there, and then just start with the steel wool and see what it does. Do I think I'm going to get this thing to look like new? Probably not. Significantly better? Definitely. It doesn't take long. The WD-40 will take off a pretty good layer of the rough corrosion and it'll smooth it right out. So then you can move on to polish. Alright, just use one of these, small one. Let's wipe this stuff up. Alright, so that's just WD-40. That's after, and that's before. So you can see quite a big difference. So let's keep going. That's going to polish up really bright, much brighter than the rest of it, I fear. Wipe some of it off. You can now read that really nicely. It doesn't look like there was ever paint in there, so I got to debate if I want to put paint in there. I just have to WD-40 the handle, and then we're going to move on to polishing. So I'm going to pause the camera here. All right, we're done with the WD-40. Looks pretty good. I'm wondering if I should paint black in there. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. So we're going to use chemical guys. Don't know if I should be using light metal or dark metal or heavy metal, whatever, but we're going to try light metal polish. Hardest thing about this is getting it out of the jar. Yeah, immediately starts going to work. You don't have to force this stuff in, see? Just let the rag and the polish do the work. You can go as far as you want with this. The more coats you put on, the shinier it'll get, the more it'll take out little scratches and things like that. It all depends. This, usually if it's going right back into service, I'll only do it a little bit. This will not be going back into service because I have no idea what this would be used for. Wow, yeah, it's taking a lot off. So I may do a few extra coats. All right, I think you've seen enough. That's one coat. I'm going to continue, and we'll pick it up maybe after I'm done polishing. So we're all polished up, at least to the point where I want to take it. As I say, you can always keep going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try putting black paint in there. So first thing I'm going to do is wipe down in there with acetone to get any polish or WD-40 or anything that's in there. I don't know if this was actually meant to be painted in here. I don't think so, because I see no evidence of that. But it is a bas relief sort of thing, so I think I can get it so that it looks like it was supposed to be that way. I think these may have had a tag on them somewhere, you know, on the body or something like that, but this doesn't have that, so we'll try it with this. This is pretty easy to just avoid getting any overspray on. So I was gonna mask it up, but I think I'm just gonna wrap it. There's only one spot here where, I mean, I'd have to be pretty careless to get paint all over this thing. It's pretty small. So we'll just kind of wrap it up. All right, so this is a little easier than the ones I have to do red. I'm just going to use the same hammered black I used on the other stuff. This is not the blackest of black paints by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it'll be fine. I've got to put kind of thick coat on, not because I want the hammer texture, I don't, but because I'm going to be rubbing it down with steel wool. Okay, that should go. All right, and so with that, I'm going to clean up because we're kind of done until that paint is completely dry, which could very well be tomorrow. So I am going to put it out in the sun to kind of speed it along because it's a nice dry day out. But I'm going to clean up and I'll be back. Well, I'm jumping the gun a bit on this because I want to get this thing together. I've got work to do tomorrow, I won't have that much time. So I'm going to leave the masking tape on for now, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ball up this fine steel wool and just drag it left and right across here. And see, as I said, I don't know that this was actually ever painted to begin with. My hope is this will take the paint off the top, which it's kind of already doing. I'll show you what's going on real close. So you see, it's gradually taking the paint off the letters so they're a little easier to read and they'll stand out a little bit more. I'm just going to do this for a few minutes. Almost. Got a couple spots. It's taken a little bit of the black off in other places, so at this point I'm gonna go after the little spots individually where that W Yeah, for the most part, since the paint's not dry. Not fully dry anyway. It was pretty good. Take that off. Just gotta get this. Oh, a little bit of the overspray got through the masking tape. Take that off. Looks pretty good, really. Just got a couple little spots where it went through, but that looks good. A little bit on that 920. All right, let's put the rest of this thing together. Correct? Yeah, that's got to be right. Okay, let's get our handle. Handle is pretty much dry for all intents and purposes. Take our bolt. Where's our big brass washer? I don't know. What do they do with that thing? There it is. Looks nice with the brass for sure. Don't want to make it too tight. I don't want to take a chance of splitting the wood. Okay, we are essentially together except for that missing screw. So I'm gonna go see if I can find a screw and I'll be back. I've got a screw and I've got what I think is a blade that will work with this. It looks like it's the right type of blade. Courtesy of all those toolboxes that I have been getting. One of them had a whole bunch of what I assumed at the time, well, maybe the screw doesn't fit, were Sawzall blades. The screw really doesn't seem to want to go in. Let's see, I thought I had it in. It seemed like the right size. Let's try that again. There we go. Ah. No. Well, still moves. Maybe my screw isn't ideal. Maybe I need a washer on that screw. This isn't compressing enough. So I'm going to take this guy out. Put a washer on it. May require two. I'll try two. And then and go back. All right, that holds it a lot tighter. Rubbing anywhere? Let's give it a whirl with the blade, shall we? I don't want to grab anything heavy. I just polished all this and cleaned it up, so we'll just cut a little piece of trim here. Just to see. It's so strange. So as a jigsaw, it actually works really well. The brass and wood really look good on this. This helps too. It's pretty nice. So that's it. It's you know, 50, 60, maybe 70 years old. My guess is it's 1950s, 1960s era. Interesting tool. Is it a jigsaw? Is it a sawzall? It's neither. It's a Zipp saw. And it was fun to work on. It's a cool project. Will I use it? I don't know. I don't think so. I'll put it on display somewhere, but I don't think I'll ever find a use for it. But either way, it was fun to work on. And if you like this sort of content, please like and subscribe. I've always got more coming. You never know what I'll get into. And hey, if you find one of these and you want to rebuild it, this didn't give me any trouble at all. It's a good design. It's pretty solid. It's pretty easy to work on. It's easy to wire. It's easy to grease it. So don't be intimidated. You can do it. Just go out, get busy. Take care.